Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to the internet's favorite informative educational show about plastic surgery, health, and beauty. This is Nip Talk. We got a good one for you today. Starting out, removing breast implants. We're going to talk all about that. Then, here's a controversial one. Should fentanyl be legalized? Finally, Sarah's going to give us some great pre-workout diet tips, and I can't wait to hear about it. It's all coming up right now.
Live from Lincoln Center in the heart of the Dallas Metroplex, this is Nip Talk. An honest and uncensored show about plastic surgery, health, beauty, and lifestyle with your host, plastic surgeon Dr. Bruce Herman, and your co-host, entrepreneur and social media influencer Sarah Bennett. Now it's time to discuss the good, the bad, and the ugly of the topics everyone is talking about. It's time for Nip Talk.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Please hit that like and subscribe button. It helps us so much. It helps us so much. And please leave us a comment. I started talking too fast. Like I was so excited to get going with the show that I messed up.
So excited.
But no, please leave us a comment. We do want to hear from you. If you guys have topics that you want to hear about it, let us know and we'll talk about it. I'm your host, plastic surgeon Dr. Bruce Herman. With me, as always, is the wonderful Sarah in her awesome leather jacket that I love. In the box is Travis. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. I'm good. You guys got any exciting plans coming up?
I think it would be Thanksgiving, right?
Thanksgiving?
Yeah, right?
Yeah, it's in another week. Yeah.
Something like that.
You guys got Thanksgiving plans?
Avery's with her dad. So actually my sister, who is also like single mom, she's just going to come up and we're going to have like just a girls' Thanksgiving.
Fun.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. I'm not even really sure what we're doing. I know my wife's parents usually come, but her dad's having surgery, so I think they're actually staying.
Yeah, part of my family is going to Japan.
Japan?
Like my mom and then my sister and her family are going to Japan.
Wow.
Over
I've always wanted to go to
break.
Japan. What are they going for? Anything in particular?
So my sister, her husband is Honduran, and so like her daughter's about to be like 16 or whatever. It's like the quinceañera thing. He was like, either you get a party or you get a trip, and she picked Japan. She really likes like Hello Kitty and.
She's like my daughter. My daughter's been hounding me to take her to Japan
all
for
of
years.
that stuff. Yeah, that's why they're going, because my niece likes that place.
Speaking of trips, I'm actually leaving today. My wife and I are going to California to go to a music festival.
Nice. Who's the headliner?
So I was gonna tell you guys, like this show is crazy. Like I wouldn't normally we actually just made this trip like a week ago. Like it's kind of a last minute thing, but I actually had to write it down. So these are, I bet you guys have heard of most of these people, and let me know if you know a song, because most of these are one hit wonders. So headliners are New Order.
Okay.
Have you heard of them?
Kind of.
Okay.
I think so.
Tears for Fears. No. The B-52s.
I think I've heard them.
Yeah. Love Shack. The Love Shack, baby.
Yeah.
So each of these guys have like one or two great songs. Echo and the Bunnymen, Devo, Soft Cell, Psychedelic Furs, Human League, OMD, Violent Femmes, and the Cardigans.
Violent Femmes, I've heard of them.
Yeah, Blister in the Sun. Like each of these bands has like one or two like iconic 1980s songs. I'm surprised all these guys are still alive.
What's the festival called?
It's called the Darker Waves Festival.
Okay.
It's like 80s new wave. I mean, most of these are like new wave or like.
Is it just you and your wife or a bunch of other people?
No, it's just me and my wife.
That's cute.
Yeah, we like to do that. Like so we're leaving today. So and we get in tonight, go have dinner, check in the hotel, concerts tomorrow, hit the concert all day. I'll be posting stuff on Insta if you want to see it, and then come back Sunday. So
that's dope.
Quick trip.
I love it.
I'm excited, and honestly, it wasn't too bad.
Super jelly.
We used, I have these airline miles that we rack up, and so, we actually don't do a ton of vacationing. Mm-hmm. So I have these airline miles, so we got basically, airline miles to pay for the trip and the hotel, and we just bought the tickets for the show. So
that's cool.
Yeah,
I'm excited. I love live music, and this is on the Huntington Beach Pier, which I don't know what that is, but it sounds cool. I assume it's like a giant pier that goes out into the ocean, and the bands are set up on the pier. I don't know. I mean,
probably so. You got to take plenty of videos for us. We got to live vicariously through you at this point. So you got to take videos and some pictures so we can share it with the people too for the show.
I will. I'll take some. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm excited. Like, I mean, I don't know if I've seen any of these bands because they're such small bands. That you just don't catch them. But they each have like one or two great songs. Like,
right.
I'm totally excited. So
sounds cool.
Yeah. So I didn't mean to like bum you guys out that I'm like going on.
No, not at all. Not at all. We are happy for you, if anything.
Yeah, you got to work hard, play hard, man. Yeah.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, well, let's move into some topics for today. We got some pretty cool. We've got one that's really informative, one that's like really controversial, and then Sarah's gonna. I'm interested in Sarah's topic too, so I can't wait to hear about that. But the first one I was gonna pull up was about when patients want to remove breast implants, and by remove, like not just like change them for different ones, but like take them out entirely. And the reason I wanted to do this topic, and as with most topics that I do, it's when I read news articles. I'm always reading news articles one, because I want to stay informed, but two, also to come up with segments for our show.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that popped up recently was another thing about the breast implant illness, and we did a whole segment about that, I think last year, because it popped up with Danica Patrick talking about it, and then it kind of gets forgotten because it's not like the biggest, thing that people talk about, but it kind of resurfaced again. It was just an article it was actually about this surgeon who is doing all these explants, which I'm going to talk about that. And it talked about breast implant illness and the controversy behind it. Because remember when we talked about breast implant illness, and for those who don't know what that is, it's a feeling that breast implants are causing these kind of self-reported symptoms. And the most common ones are headache, joint pain, brain fog. There's some really kind of obscure things that people are attributing to breast implants. And when this thing kind of hit, it's been, 5 or 8 years ago that this kind of became a thing. As a plastic surgeon, I was like, that didn't make a lot of sense because silicone's pretty inert. Like just from a molecular, biological standpoint, it didn't make sense to me. Well, it picked up a little bit of steam, mostly through social media, like these Facebook groups were popping up. And so then like the plastic surgery community got involved and they started doing all this research to see, okay, is this really a thing or not? And really there hasn't been a link shown that any of these symptoms are caused by the implants. They went on to do some pretty interesting studies about if you ask a patient that thinks that they have breast implant illness, do they feel better after removing the implants? Actually, a majority say they do feel better.
It sounds like some type of like sensitivity or psychological issue.
I think that there definitely could be a placebo type effect to this. And the reason I say that is not to like downplay people's issues or symptoms, but there was a study done where they took women that had headache, fatigue, joint pain, and then wanted the implants out for different reasons. And then they asked them, hey, did you notice after your implants out that your headaches or joint pain or anything were better? And they all said no. And so for patients that actually had the same symptoms but weren't removing the implants because they thought they had breast implant illness, there was no change. And so, I'm just not sure they're ever going to really find a link to this. It is, and also just for people who are considering implants, like it's less than 1% of patients that report this. Like it's not a lot of people at all. But it does get like a lot of traction in the media because it's like, oh, well, breast implants are so popular, but oh, wait, are breast implants harming people? And so because of like in the past when they actually were harming people, this story gets a lot of airtime. So anyway, and I didn't want to rehash all of breast implant illness. The one thing I would say about it is you do have to be careful. There are doctors out there, and this doctor that was in this article, and I thought about like naming him. I was like, no, I'm not going to say his name. Like there's some doctors out there that are using this as a way to make money. Yes. And because, people want to be reinforced with their thought process. And so like, Sarah, if you said to me, well, I think maybe my implants are causing my problems. I say, yes, you're right, they are. If you take them out, you're going to feel a lot better. A lot of people in your situation would be receptive to that type of affirmation, and then go through surgery. And then if the surgeon says you're going to feel better, a lot of people will feel better. And in the end, the surgeon's making money off of it. But there are, I know. I swear, plastic surgery is just one of like the shadiest things because people will make money off of people. And that's not just plastic surgery; it's everything. And so I just would say to those out there, if you're thinking about having your implants out, I would go to someone who's just really good at doing breast surgery. You don't want to be talked into removing your implants because I've had patients come to me for breast implant illness, and I sit them down and say, look, here's a situation. I go through all the research, and I say, you very well may feel better if you take them out, but there's not a lot of data to support that it's real. And you have to consider, one, there's a cost in removing the implants, right? Because I've had a patient literally come into me that had implants that were perfect. They looked great. You know, there was no issue with them, and they were considering taking them out because of things that they heard. And then they end up deciding not to after I talked to them. And of course, I lose money, you know, by doing that. But at the end of the day, it's not like I'm out there trying to scam people, you know.
No.
And so I would encourage people that if they think they have this, go talk to someone that's knowledgeable and will be real with you and not just talk you into removing your implants. Because there are some downsides to removing them. You know, most notably is what happens to your breasts afterwards.
Yes.
And so that's where I was going to
that's what would be my fear is like I have breast implant illness and then I get them removed.
And then you don't feel better. You're going to feel like...
I might feel better, but then I'm like pissed because I don't have my boobs anymore.
Well, and it's not everyone that feels better. I mean, you know, the one girl that I did that said she had breast implant illness, and then I talked to her about it, and she's like, well, I want to get them out. And I was like, sure. I mean, if you want them out, I'm happy to take out your implants. She really told me that she didn't. She at first thought that she was better, but then her husband kind of told her, hey, you're still complaining about these things. And so at the end of the day, after I'd seen her, the first time I saw her, she's like, yeah, I think I'm better. And then when I saw her like in long-term follow-up, she's like, yeah, it's no change.
I wonder if they've done a research when women get implants and they already are just psychologically depressed and do have brain fog and stuff, and they think getting these implants will make them feel better, and it doesn't, and they still have it.
And that's causing it.
Yeah.
The only thing I'd say about that, I mean, you oftentimes will do implants in older people, but the majority of people that are getting implants are kind of before those things hit normally. A lot of the things
I know depression can cause brain fog, though.
Well, that's true. I mean, it could be from something else. Yes, it could be
crazy stuff.
If it's completely related to something else, yeah, that could happen. I was thinking more along the lines of, you know, if you thought that these symptoms were age-related, right? Because a lot of these symptoms are age-related.
Okay.
You know, and it's like, okay, if an older person already has those symptoms and they get implants, then do they attribute? I mean, it's possible. I mean, in reality, like, this is not a huge thing. I've seen two patients that asked about it. You know, one ended up having surgery and one didn't. So, but on the other hand, removing breast implants is a big thing. I literally do that all the time. It's just I do it for different reasons.
Yeah, you do it for like, maybe it's a complication, it's burst, or, you know, stuff
It's
like
either that or mostly it's women who are a little bit older who got implants 20 or 30 years in the past and they just don't want them anymore. Because what happens a lot of times is, you know, women in their 30s, they get implants and they get these implants, but then over the decades, their bodies change. They get a little bit heavier. Their breasts get larger, and then suddenly their breasts are too big, and they come to me, they're like, I just want my implants out. And so that's a really common consult. I do almost one of those consults a week where somebody's asking about either removing implants or sometimes downsizing them. And so I like these surgeries. There's a lot of like thinking involved and a lot of artistry, because when you remove an implant, you have to be aware of like what's going to happen to the breast and how are you going to make the patient happy. Because most people, if you took out their implants, they would be very unhappy with what their breasts look like. But then there's some people that have a lot of breast tissue and a small implant where it doesn't matter. And so when people come into me, I kind of enjoy that mental, you know, calculating of like, okay, if we remove your implants, this is what your result's going to be. Are you going to be happy with that? And it involves having a conversation with the patient and reading them. And I just kind of enjoy that chess match of determining that. And what we do most of the time when somebody wants their implants out is we take out the implant. I also do take out the capsule layer, and this is kind of getting back into that breast implant illness, because you get these doctors that say, oh, if you have your implants out, you have to come to me because I do complete removal of the capsule and that helps. Well, all the research shows it makes no difference as far as people's symptoms. That has been determined. So anyone who says that is just blowing smoke at you. But I take out the capsule anyway because I want there to be a fresh layer of tissue to heal together.
Yeah.
So after I pull out the implant and you got that layer on the inside, I always shell that out because I want good, healthy, fresh tissue to heal. So I do that. So I remove the implant, I remove the capsule, and then I end up doing a lift on them. You know,
Yeah.
that's the simple way to take a breast that is not looking good after it loses all its volume from the implant removal and making it look good again.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and you can make people look really nice. And so I actually brought it before and after, and I almost hesitate to bring these because I don't want this show to be like an advertisement for my practice. It's not. So I almost never bring cosmetic before and afters. But I did bring one here. Travis, you can throw that up there. Yeah. So on the left, you know, that girl has implants in. Her breasts are pretty large. And so I took out her implants, and I did a lift, and her breasts actually look perkier after we took the implants out.
Yeah.
Than before. And obviously her breasts are smaller, but she was happy with that. And, you know, she was a very satisfied patient, and I think got a result that actually, although smaller, looks better than she started with shape-wise.
Yeah. And
so, yeah, I like doing these surgeries. There is a lot of thinking involved and a lot of artistry. And yeah, I just think that if you're going to do it, though, you definitely want to go to somebody that does a lot of them. You know, doing revision work is always harder than doing the initial surgery. It's always harder to deal with taking implants out than putting implants in, or swapping out implants, or dealing with complications.
Do a lot of plastic surgeons, like you do, like other things besides like cosmetic stuff? Do a lot of plastic surgeons do stuff like you do, like do that extra?
I would say most surgeons are even more diverse than I am. I mean, my practice boils down to three things. I do cosmetic breast and body surgery, which means breast lift, breast augmentation, breast reduction, breast implant revision. And then I do tummy tucks and lipo. Like that's.
I know, but you do stuff on the side, like you.
Right, I do have a lot of side gigs. Yeah. So I do like the wound reconstruction.
Yeah, I feel like that. I feel like that's something that probably sets you apart in doing stuff like this, because you have like so much experience dealing with like random situations where you have to.
There's a lot
like,
of thinking involved with that.
Yeah, where
like,
you have to like kind of jigsaw it together. So
right.
like whenever you're doing a breast reconstruction, you're just like, this is.
Yeah. There is a lot of the same kind of thought processes that go into, okay, here's a problem, how do we solve it? And that's why honestly I got interested in plastic surgery, is there's a lot of thinking in it. With general surgery, which I was doing general surgery for plastics, is very mechanical. Patient has a bad gallbladder. Okay, step 1 through 10, take out the gallbladder. And there's not a ton of thought process that goes into it. I mean, sometimes there are, and I don't want to say that to offend my general surgeon colleagues, but I mean, general surgery is for the most part mechanical.
For like straightforward.
Yeah. Like step 1, step 2. I mean, same thing, vascular surgery. I mean, sometimes you have to get creative, but plastic's all about creativity. You know, there's a lot of, it's like whenever we talked about the patient a couple weeks ago that had the big hole in their chest. It's like, hey, how are you going to solve this? I mean, well, there's a lot of different ways you could solve it. It's like, what's going to be best for the patient? And same thing with cosmetics. I mean, it's very similar. So yeah. But and that's more for the revision work than the, you know, primary augmentation. Like, I mean, doing it the first time is pretty straightforward.
Yes.
There's artistry in it, but there's not as much thinking. There's a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why I like the specialty. So, but yeah, I just want to talk a little bit about breast implant removal. It's a very common surgery. If you want your breast implants out, you don't have to be afraid that you're going to be wrecked after that. There are good ways to improve the shape of the breast, and there are definitely solutions to take out your implants and still have you be happy. So,
good.
Yeah, good information. All right. Okay, moving on. So this is actually a pretty controversial topic. And once again, this is a topic that came about while I was surfing news articles and surfing social media.
Okay.
And it's the question of, should fentanyl be legalized? So
That's silly.
It sounds crazy, right? Doesn't it sound crazy?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not as crazy as you might think. I actually got this from, I was on Twitter and I saw a tweet by this guy named Dr. Ryan Marino. And I don't know him personally, but I have talked to him through social media. And he's an expert in toxicology and addiction medicine.
Okay.
And he's kind of a big deal in his field. Like, I've seen his name on like news articles and you know, more than one. And he's always talking about fentanyl, and he does a lot of like harm reduction policy. Are you guys familiar with that term, harm reduction policy?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so so one way you would go about drug policy is say, okay, we're going to punish everyone that, you know, uses drugs or has drugs or, you know, deals in drugs, and it's just going to be harsh penalties, and that's how we're going to, you know, stop this problem. Harm reduction policy is more about protecting people and not necessarily punishing them because they use drugs, but educating them and making it safe to avoid bad outcomes.
Okay.
And it's pretty popular. I mean, it does have its people who are not as for it. You know, there's people more hard lines, oh, we need to make everything illegal and harsh penalties.
Okay.
And then there's other people who are like, well, we just need to protect people. And I can get behind that. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, you want to protect the populace. And so,
Yes.
anyway, Dr. Marino's really into harm reduction. You know, it's just mostly minimizing the risk and improving the overall health of the population. So anyway, he threw up a tweet the other day, and I actually copied it and pasted it. And he was talking about a fentanyl drug bust and how this person was complaining about the black market. And you can't see the bottom of it. And what he said was that if you don't like the black market, well, you can basically eliminate a black market by legalizing and regulating. And he used THC or marijuana as an example. And I don't think that he's advocating for, you know, oh, we need to legalize fentanyl, but it's not the first time that I've heard people talk about this. And
But like, how would you legalize fentanyl? Like, what would it be used for legally?
like I mean, the same way marijuana was legalized recreationally. I mean, there's a big push to legalize a lot of drugs. I mean, maybe not in Texas, but I mean, I know in the Pacific Northwest they've pushed to legalize like psychedelic drugs. I mean, they're strictly used for recreation.
Okay, and that's what it would be legalized for?
Yeah, potentially, yes. I mean, you know, there are a lot of like European countries where I don't know if it's necessarily legalized, but it's like where heroin's decriminalized, you know. And so the thought process behind this is that if you legalize and you regulate something, you make it safer and less people will die. Because as you know, or as you may or may not remember, you know, when we were talking about fentanyl deaths, you know, every year, at least in the past couple of years, you're talking over 70,000 deaths in the United States from fentanyl.
Yeah.
And some of that does come from the black market, not to mention, you know, prosecution, crime, and all that. And so, although it sounds crazy, I mean, you have to stop and say, is what we're doing working? Is what we're doing working? I mean, not really. I mean, like illegal fentanyl is, you know, pouring into the country.
Yep.
People are dying. And so, you know, is there a better way to protect the populace? And I'm not saying I'm for this, but I will say that, like, I was for the legalization of marijuana. I mean, you know, you think about the things that are legal right now. Do you guys know how many people die every year from cigarettes?
Yeah, and alcoholism?
Yeah, it's 500,000 every year, 500,000 roughly from cigarettes, and 100,000 from alcohol. Yeah. Like right there, you have two drugs that kill way more people than fentanyl.
And they tried to outlaw alcohol before, and they saw all of these gangs develop
like
from
prohibition was like an enormous failure. I mean, you know, the prohibition of marijuana was an enormous failure. It still was everywhere, except now you're, you know, putting people in jail and criminalizing people for something they're going to do anyway.
Well, as a Texan, you can just go to Oklahoma and it'll be okay.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I don't really follow all that stuff, but I was looking the other day at how many states have legalized. Like it's insane. Like it's almost all of them. And you don't hear about it.
I think almost all this. I think most. I don't know how many states, but it seems like most of the states that surround Texas.
Yeah.
Have.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I just kind of noticed that the other day. And so when you're talking about like this, like the legalization of something, I mean, the common questions pop up of, you know, would this increase use, right? I mean, because that's one thing you have to consider, especially with something like fentanyl that has a high addiction potential.
That and the fact that you can overdose on it literally by the size of your fingernail.
Right, and so I always throw up that last infographic I have there. So this is basically the opioid potencies. And I list them out: morphine, which is, you know, commonly used in the hospitals for pain control; heroin, which obviously is a legal drug; fentanyl, and then the fentanyl derivatives, and the lethal dose. And of course, you know, there's a little bit of variability in that based on, you know, purity and all of this. But like, so you're talking like 2 milligrams of IV fentanyl. Yeah, that is enough to kill you. But what you get like on the street might be completely different. But yeah, you bring up some great points when you start talking about something like fentanyl. Is one, what is the addiction potential and what is the potential for death? And you're right, like it's not like, you know, alcohol where you have to consume an entire bottle of liquor to kill yourself. I mean,
it takes a lot to overdose on alcohol.
And so you wonder, is this something that's even feasible? I don't know. I mean, I think it would probably not work out. I
agree.
I think it would probably end up being something we regretted. But on the other hand, to play devil's advocate,
the people that want to get fentanyl are going to get fentanyl.
They're going to get it no matter what. And if you make it safe, you potentially could save lives. I mean, so it is crazy that when you say it like out loud, like, hey, maybe we should legalize and regulate fentanyl. But obviously what we're doing is not working. And so, you have to kind of decide as a society, like, are you going to be somewhere like Singapore where...
Is fentanyl still used for medical purposes?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, it's used all the time for medical purposes.
Okay.
And the fentanyl that's used in the hospital and what you get on the streets is completely different.
Right.
For the most part. I mean, it's the same...
I would hope so.
It's the same chemical, but like, obviously they use fentanyl citrate
It's like
in the hospital.
doctors going in the back alleys. I need some more fentanyl.
Yeah, we got to do some more surgeries. But no, I think that, when you have a problem like the opioid crisis in America, I mean, you have to kind of have some self-reflection of, hey, is what we're doing working? And I think that the answer is no. I mean, this problem's gotten infinitely worse in the past, decade, not better.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, at the end of the day, what's the ultimate goal of healthcare providers or policymakers? Is to protect the public. And it is questionable of whether or not what we're doing is protecting. Mm-hmm. And so then it's like, okay, well, do we need to be more strict or less? I mean, you can make an argument for both. I mean, because if you're going to say what's happening now is not working, well, if you're going to go one direction or the other, right? You're either going to make it harsher or make it more lenient. I mean, there are people out there, and I don't know if Dr. Marino actually is for this. I tried to message him to see if he would say something about it.
Well, it's like, if fentanyl gets legalized, then it's like cocaine would be legalized.
Right. Well, and there's a lot of people that...
I feel like that's how fentanyl got into America, or got into where it is so addictive, because that's what it was mixed with or something. That's what I've read.
Well, you hear that people are mixing it, and the police are reporting that, but I mean, I think now it's just like pure fentanyl for the most part. I mean, people, it's a big thing on the streets, and it's coming in from all over the place, and you never know, what you're getting. I mean, it's why the black market's so unsafe.
Right.
I mean, there is a lot of data to show that the legalization of marijuana actually made it safer. It made it more potent, but it has made it safer.
Yeah, you know that it's not laced with something.
And
that it shouldn't be.
It's regulated.
Mm-hmm.
There's not the cartels that are, all the crime associated with bringing it into the country and selling it and buying it and all that. And so I think almost everybody except the most strict anti-drug people would say actually legalizing marijuana was actually probably a good thing. It generated revenue for the states. I mean, most people would say that. As the drugs get more dangerous, you're going to get less and less people that would say that. It's like, okay, well, if marijuana is legal, should mushrooms be legal? Well, I mean, that one probably fine, but cocaine, well, I mean, I look at everything as how addictive is it and how dangerous.
Cocaine was legal one time, right?
It was, yeah, early on, it was, yeah, absolutely. Heroin, I think, was legal early on as well. I'm pretty sure. I think in the teens that it was. I don't think it was used the way it's used now, though.
Yeah.
It was mixed with stuff. I mean, it wasn't kind of used in the same way.
Yeah, because didn't a lot of founding fathers have their little
Yeah,
these little
the little
things,
vials
and they
of it
would
that-
just
Yeah.
stick it up their nose. Yeah.
Probably. Yeah, I don't know. But it's an interesting topic. I don't know. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens with fentanyl. I mean, honestly, the way our government works, probably nothing will happen. Probably things will just kind of, kick the can down the road and hope it gets better. But it's an interesting thought process, and I think things have definitely changed over the last 20 years. I mean, the whole thought of trying to push abstinence has kind of gone out the window, I think, for the most part. And you're seeing more harm reductions, which I do think is a good thing. I personally wouldn't want to live in a place like Singapore where the government puts you to death for for a victimless crime. I mean, that's not the side I would want to live in personally. But
No.
I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Hopefully
Me
someone
either.
much smarter
That's
than...
why we aren't politicians.
I know, but I think it's good to talk about it.
It is.
It's an interesting topic, and it's something that's, you hear about daily. And, I don't know what the solution is. So it's a tough problem. Travis, what's the solution, man? You got it?
Don't do drugs. That's the solution.
Just say no?
Just say be above the influence.
Just say no. I mean, obviously that'd be the best the best thing for everyone, for sure. But realistically, I'm not sure the human race can do it.
Yeah, I ain't got the answer, Sway.
Yeah. All right. Well, we can't solve every problem here, but we can at least talk about them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
All right, Sarah, are you going to solve the problem for what I should eat
Yeah.
before and after a workout?
She's going in the pocket.
I got to get my.
see, this is the difference between me and Sarah. This is my note. Sarah's like, I'm just going to use my smartphone.
Save the papers, okay? All right, so I don't have any cool pictures or anything. Sorry.
That's all right. We can visualize.
So we're going to talk about pre and post workout nutrition. And I read 2 articles. One was from eatright.org and the other one was from everydayhealth.com.
Okay, and this is strictly related to workouts.
Yes.
Okay. Educate us.
Yes. So number 1, don't skip carbs. Like carbs, that is your fuel with any workout.
Okay, so don't skip carbs.
Number 1, that's the bet. Like if at the
That would
end
be
of
the first.
this,
That's the first thing I do. Is I'm like,
at
nope,
the
no carbs.
Yeah, at the end of this, if you haven't learned anything, just one
Now, when you
thing.
say
Eat
workouts,
carbs.
is this strictly like weightlifting, or is that like?
I'm gonna go over that.
Oh,
yeah.
you're gonna go. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to jump
Okay,
ahead.
so we're gonna talk about pre-workout nutrition first. So eat 1 to 4 hours before a workout, but it's different for everybody else. So that's like this is like your chance to decide whether or not like, hey, I feel my best when I work out when I eat 2 hours before my workout, or hey, I feel best if I don't eat anything but 4 hours before at least. But main thing, at least 4 hours before a workout, you should
4 hours.
have eaten something.
Okay. That's good to know, because like when I do like a race, which I haven't done races in a long time, I generally fast,
Yeah.
which is bad.
Yes.
So tell me it's bad. Okay, because I assume like a race would be a type of working out.
Yes.
Oh, you're gonna get to that. Okay.
Yes, endurance, yeah. So examples of pre-workout fuel would be peanut butter and banana, sandwich, PB&J. Those are, I eat those quite often. Greek yogurt and berries, oatmeal with low-fat milk and fruit, apples and peanut butter. That's another one of mine. And a handful of nuts and raisins. Not my thing, but not my deal, but whatever. But what do you notice about this fuel? Like, what is like the main thing that you notice? So like peanut butter, bananas,
Well-
Greek yogurt, berries, oatmeal and low-fat milk,
Fibers.
apples and peanut
tell me I'm
butter,
drowning
nuts and
here. I
I
raisins.
thought it was protein too.
So yeah, it's protein.
Oh, it is protein. Okay, I said that.
But
Oh.
it contains carbs and fat. So you have.
Oh, so it's kind of well-rounded.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's a snack. You can also take away.
Okay.
This is like a snack food. This isn't a meal.
Yo.
And then, so for cardio, what do you think you would increase if you would increase any type of protein, carb, or fat?
Carbs.
Yes.
So-
So for if you're
Good
say you're
synergy.
going on a run, since you like to run, you do need to eat protein, but you need to also do more carbs. So I would say eating oatmeal would be good for you
Okay.
before in the morning, or eating an apple and peanut butter.
Okay.
Because that's mainly, you're getting most of the carbs. I think there's an increase in carbs from the apple versus the protein from
Sure.
the peanut butter.
Yeah.
So that's a good snack for you.
Okay.
Versus Greek yogurt, that is a lot of protein. And then some berries.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
carbs, got it.
So for strength training, obviously you increase with protein.
Okay. So you
So-
increase the ratio.
Yeah. So you still eat carbs, but
Right.
like just depending on what type of exercise that you're predominantly going to be doing, that's what you need to do.
Okay.
And then you might be thinking what you should do if you work out in the morning versus later in the day.
Okay.
So you work out in the morning, right? Usually,
No.
or you work out later in the day?
Yeah, later in the day.
Okay, so I do too. So it's kind of like that 1 to 4 hour ratio.
Okay.
If you've eaten a meal in that 1 to 4 hour ratio, you don't need to eat like a snack or something before
Okay.
you go. But if you feel like you do, you should be eating 1 to 200 calorie snacks.
Oh, 1 to 200? Okay.
Uh-huh.
That's good to know.
Yeah,
I
30
count
to
calories
60
too.
minutes.
I really do count calories.
Okay, you
Big
do.
time.
Okay, so
I have to these days.
Try
It's
to
so
eat
terrible.
that snack with 30 to 60 minutes before your workout. I would say more like 60 minutes.
Okay.
And keep in mind what type of training you're going to be doing, endurance
Gotcha.
or strength training. And then So some people work out in the morning, those overachievers. I'm
Crazy.
not one of those
There's
people.
this guy that runs down my street. I always leave at the same time in the mornings for surgery, and every single day he's running.
Yeah.
It's crazy. The guy's insane. I want to stop and just be like, dude. I mean, I like to run, but like I ain't getting up at 6 and running.
We're like, what's your secret?
How do you do it?
Yeah, for real. So a lot of people have issues with eating in the morning, especially before they're working out. I don't like to eat first thing in the morning. The first thing I like to do in the morning is drink coffee, and then like maybe an hour later, I'll eat something. That's just how I am. But if you're going to work out like first thing in the morning, it's good for you to eat a 200 calorie something. So
Okay.
some people, like if you can't stomach like eating something, eat
That's
some
me.
applesauce.
Okay.
Like do some applesauce because that's straight carbs and that's what you need to run. And then if you do like to eat like just a little something, would be like half an English muffin with some peanut butter, some bananas, and a half a cup of like yogurt and some granola.
So like a 100 to 200 calorie snack an hour before you run.
Yeah.
I
But
could
higher
probably-
in carbs than protein.
Right. I could probably do that,
And that would help you, that would fuel your run better for you.
That makes sense.
It would help you use the right fuel to
I
get
generally,
what you,
when I was talking about
good-
like
the best.
when I used to do races, and also when I used to play ice hockey, like I almost had to have an empty stomach or I would throw up, just because I really push myself from a cardio standpoint. Have you ever like done so much cardio you've thrown up?
I've gotten to the point. I've never thrown up. I always make myself stop.
I keep going, and like I mean, when I used to play ice hockey, especially when I wasn't in great shape, like I would always bring the trash can to the bench because
Oh
there
my
were
gosh.
plenty of times I would like do a shift and I'd come and I'd just
Well,
throw.
and you're wearing so much gear, you probably
Dude,
get
ice hockey
so
burns like
overheated.
serious calories. You have no idea.
Yeah.
But I threw up on the bench many, many times just from like exerting. That's a high exertional type of thing.
Yeah,
I've done it in races too. I just don't, stop.
yeah. Yeah.
So that's why. And if I have like food on my stomach, I really will throw up. So I usually don't eat. But I could probably do like 100 or 200 calories. And to
Yes,
be
like-
honest, like I don't necessarily run or exercise that hard anymore. Although I've gotten close. I've been.
Yeah, you said you were in a 5K. You could have, who knows how fast you could have run if you would have eaten a little,
that is a great
piece
question.
of bread
Yeah.
with some peanut
Yeah,
butter on
I'm gonna
it.
try that. I'm gonna run today, so I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna
Yes,
eat 200
do it.
calories an hour before I go.
Do it.
I am.
Okay, so post-workout
Okay.
is just as important as the pre-workout.
No, when you say it's important, like, I guess for muscle building, or okay, for muscle building. Okay.
Like it's like it repairs the glycogen
right.
that you lose.
I know glycogen. Yeah.
Yeah, so it
Restores
repairs,
the glycogen.
Yes, yeah, restores it and repairs
That's our
your
main
muscles.
like fuel that we store. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like I said, yeah. So you want to rebuild your muscle and regain the glycogen lost during training. So some post-workout fuel is a smoothie. So low-fat milk and fruit.
What about like
with some
protein
ice.
shakes?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Is that good? Okay.
Yeah. Low-fat chocolate milk.
Ugh, no. Hard pass.
Turkey on a whole grain wrap with veggies. Low-fat yogurt with berries.
I love a good deli sandwich.
Yeah, same. I would definitely do the bottom two. I also love chocolate milk. I actually
do?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Me and Avery, my daughter,
Like the thought of it's making my mouth
Fiends
water.
for
like
chocolate
and not in
milk.
a good way. Like
you
that,
just don't like milk in general.
Yeah, just like the thought of drinking milk after I work out, you just
Well, you have to drink it at least 60 minutes after.
still, I just
So you'd be able to be chilled out.
maybe.
and
I
then
guess
eat.
in 60 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't love chocolate milk anyway, but the thought of drinking milk right after I've gone and run like 5 miles, like it's making me nauseous just thinking about it.
I'm like, where's the trash can?
Where's my trash can?
There's not any in here. And you kind of follow the same process as you would pre-workout. So after a post-workout, super high cardio, what do you think your
Carbs.
Yeah. So you need to increase your carbs after a cardio workout and then increase your protein after strength training.
Got it. That makes sense.
But
And-
you still need to eat the carbs and the fat. It's just have a higher percentage of.
Right. When I used to
those.
actually work out with weights, which honestly my whole life I've worked out with weights, and probably the last like 10 years, I would always like right after a workout, I would hit like a protein shake and then I eat like like chicken or beef. Yeah, and I'd eat some carbs, but.
Yeah.
So I was kind of doing this. It just made sense, right? It's like I'm trying to build muscle. I need protein.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure. A good general rule is to aim for a snack that's at least 10 grams of protein and double or triple that in carbs. For like
and that's a snack, not a meal, like post-op or post-op.
Yeah, because 10 grams of protein is like that's literally a cup of yogurt.
Yeah, it's like nothing.
Yeah.
That's really low. Okay.
And then 20 to 25 grams. That's chicken. That's like a piece of chicken, like 8 ounces or 6 ounces or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, and the reason I wanted to look all this up is because obviously I work out quite a bit.
Were you doing all this stuff already, or did you learn some things from doing this?
I do the pre-workout snack. I always try to eat like something at least an hour before I work out. Sometimes I'll just like shove some goldfish in my mouth. Yeah, because I'm like, I know that I need something.
Right.
Because like there's been times when I'm at my gym and my stomach's growling.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ugh, this is gonna be a horrible workout today. But in terms of post-workout, no, I do not hit that 60-minute thing. But like I work out from 5:30 to 6:30 in the afternoon. So when I get home, I make dinner. Like as soon as I get home, I'm making dinner. So it's like, I probably am not hitting that 60-minute mark. So if I wanted to be like super on top of it, I should probably drink a protein shake right after I work out.
The last gym that I really worked out a lot, they actually had the bar right at the gym. Like that was a new thing. Not like a bar, like alcohol bar, but like they had the smoothie bar.
Get drunk at the gym.
Yeah, no. And so I would always get one of those things. I would buy these like protein shakes, and it was like 50 grams of protein, and they were actually pretty good.
Yeah.
And I would just drink that on the way home.
I want to know the science behind, because sometimes if I like take like a shot or something, I get like this like like a little spunk, and I feel like more energetic. And I'm like, I wonder if there's like a thing, but like whenever you like if you took a shot, like if an athlete took like one shot before like a workout,
a shot of what?
Alcohol.
Oh, shot of alcohol. Well, yeah. I mean, it's 100. There's 100 calories in it.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, each shot's roughly 100 calories.
Of carbs.
Of carbs, yeah.
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 I wonder if it would help them better, like a shot of alcohol or a shot.
I mean, you could ask my beer league.
A shot of like green juice.
You could ask my beer league hockey team. Those guys would drink before, during, and after the game.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of hockey, did you see that video of that man that got his neck slit, like his throat?
It's terrible. Yeah. Yeah, skates are dangerous.
I saw the video.
Yeah, it was
horrible.
terrible. There was a goalie in the United States, it was probably 15 years ago, and he took a skate to the neck, and he survived. But it was the same type of video. Like, it was just like, I mean, if you get cut in the neck, I mean.
That's what always freaks me out whenever I go to a skating rink and I fall, and there's like all these people. I'm like, my hands.
I mean, realistically, I mean, it's not like skate blades are sharp like a knife. I mean,
but pressure.
Right, yes. The thing is that they have a little bit of an edge on them.
Of course.
And if in hockey, I mean, I broke my neck in a hockey game. 10 years ago.
Oh.
It was just a high impact, me and another guy collided, and I was just at a weird angle. I mean, it's fast. It's a fast game. You can easily go 20 miles per hour on skates. You get two people going 20 miles per hour at each other, like that's like a serious collision. Now, of course, you're padded, but But yeah, like the skates can be dangerous, really dangerous.
That's scary.
Fortunately, things like that are very rare. Because I mean, most of the time people aren't. That was really weird how that guy flung his leg up. The question is like, did the guy do that, on purpose?
Yeah, that's one of my friends. Yeah. He likes to play hockey a lot too, and he was like, yeah, there's a lot of questions around that. And apparently the guy that did it on accident. He's been having issues with roughing other players.
He's like kind of a dirty player.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy stuff. Well, listen, I do appreciate those workouts. I actually did learn some things from that I'm actually going to try maybe as soon as today, as far as like my running workouts.
Yeah.
So I'll let you know. I'm going to try like probably 30 minutes before I run 100, 150 calories. I know exactly how many pretzels that is. I can weigh it out.
Your Dots pretzels?
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay.
All right, thank you guys so much for tuning in this week. We really do appreciate it. Please leave us a comment. Let you know what you would like us to talk about, and we would love to talk about it on the next episode of Nip Talk.